Welcome back, everyone, to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. Now, we have come down to the final race of the season, which will be in Dubai. So, if we take a look at the team championship, we are 50 points ahead, which bodes very well for us in this final race. But let's not start the coronation yet, simply because in this race, if one of our drivers should have a wreck during the race or some sort of incident where they have to make an unscheduled pit stop, anything like that, we could easily lose this championship. So as excited as I am for the possibility of winning a championship, I am not going to get overly excited. All right, if we take a quick look through our email, you can see that we have our normal emails. There's our car conditions, and boy, did we run those cars hard. You can see nearly 50% wear on these cars. We've got our morale boost, which unfortunately now isn't needed. We can't get above 100% there. All right, our car, as we did in the last video, we have about 19 days remaining. Of course, it'll be done after our final race. So we're going to be squeezing it and really taking advantage of every day possible to get this build into this particular season and have it ready to be installed as a default or the beginning parts for next season. Original. I couldn't think of what they called that, but the original parts for next season. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe we make it, maybe we don't. Now, at this point, we have nearly $15 million. Let's take a quick stroll through the HQ and see what we've got. So most everything, as we've looked at before, is already maximally upgraded. The only thing that is not is our forecasting center. Let's go ahead and get that started. All right, we'll take care of that. And I believe with this being the maximum upgrade, it should allow us to see the full length of the race. Since we're on short races, that is. It should allow us to see that full length. So we'll hope so. All right, let's come back in and forward through. Our car repair is complete. And we've got a couple of sponsorship offers. Let's go into our car settings and take a look at where we are at this point. We don't have any reliability issues to work on, thank goodness. All right, we're coming along really good on these brakes. Now, it looks like we're going to be perfectly fine. It says 15 days after the race. That actually has me a little bit worried. And because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this one. I mean, we're pretty close here. I'm not sure what difference this would make if I keep it. It does make some difference, obviously. But if you look, we're already number one. And this one is going to be a good bit better than our second place brake package. So let's see what we get here. Okay, 11 days after the race. So it really didn't change it a whole lot, but I would really like to get our engine package as high as possible. And at this point, it's still a little bit lower than where we are on the other. So I want to take full advantage of this 10 days. Let's see. Okay, we've only got 2 offers. Let's go ahead and let that become 3. So we'll let the days move on. You can see here we're ready to travel onward. And let's see what our email is first of all. Oh, and now we've got another wonderful dilemma. Let's see, give them all a bonus. So we've got some rumblings from the mechanics that they're working long hours. So they're starting to complain about it. Both mechanic relationship. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go this route. Normally, you wouldn't think that this would be such a big deal, but one of the bonuses I use for Laura requires her to have 100 relationship. So I need to keep that. So I'm just going to, and besides, we've already got the money. So the 500,000 isn't going to mean anything to us. So we'll go ahead and take care of that. And let's look at what our final offers are. Already I see a 5-star in here. And this is another great opportunity to show the difference between 5-star sponsors and all the other sponsors. So we come in, the 3-star sponsor here, which is not always the case. It doesn't always mean that 3-star sponsors give you less than 4 or 2 or 1 or whatever. It doesn't always work exactly like that. But in this case, 300,000 versus 400,000. So we know this one's out immediately. But then you quickly take a look and you say, wait a minute, 400,000 for a 4-star sponsor, 400,000 for a 5-star sponsor. What gives? Well, the difference is in the upfront money. And this is where you can, again, clearly see the difference between the sponsors, 4-star and 5-star. So if you can get to 90 or above on your team marketability, it is a huge benefit. And pretty much all of the videos I've done recently continue to show that. Okay, we'll go ahead and take our $3 million. And let's see, we've got 2 races remaining, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got some coming due, but of course, all of these will be coming due with the exception of this one, which will come due after our final race of the year. All of these will be coming due at the beginning of next season, and who knows what's going to happen there. I'm focused on the last race of this season right now. Okay, with our race coming up in 3 days. There we go. Now we're at the time. I'm interested to see what our engine looks like. There we go. That's what I like to see. So we're at 2139, which is a good 40 plus points above our other engine build. Not that I'm so much worried about it getting that far above. I just wanted to make sure it got above and made it worthwhile to actually build this with the money and time we spent on it. Okay, sort of like what we've done with all the other builds of the packages we've done. Okay, so I'm very pleased with that, meaning that as we finish this final race from a performance standpoint, even if we don't make it to 2189, I already feel good about building this engine. I will definitely take that. And here, we're once again going to choose this option. This time makes it pretty easy since it's actually more than our first place bonus. All right, let's go ahead and set out the tires, and very low on the tire wear. Now, here is where it's going to get really, really interesting, because as I've mentioned previously, these last few races have been pretty short races as far as number of laps. Well, here again, we have what I believe is the shortest race of the season, and as I take a quick look, yes, it is. As far as number of laps go, now I'm not getting into length of the track times number of laps and figuring all that kind of stuff. I'm not doing that. But if you take a look, 15 laps, which makes this a drop dead easy one-stop race. I mean, in fact, you can actually do this race. I believe I did in the previous season, which I wasn't recording. I believe I did this on 0 stops with Laura. So we'll have to see how it turns out when we get to the racetrack. But the moral of the story is we're not going to need many tires here. Even if we did a 2-stop strategy here, you're not going to need that many tires. But I do know this much. Chiaki here is not going to be using medium tires. That much, unless something radically changes once I get to the racetrack, there is no way we're using medium tires on that. And let's see, let's go 5. Okay, again, it really doesn't make any difference here because the races are not long enough for us to need this. It would be interesting, though, if you were running much longer races to figure out your strategy where this would be a huge deal, how you allocated these. All right, let's take a look at our parts. And again, shouldn't be anything changing here. Laura is only content because of the increases, instead of being happy or delighted, because of the increases that have been shown on the parts that have been given to Chiaki here. All right, everything looks good, as I figured it would. And so we come back to our main screen, and let's head to the racetrack. Practice is over, and it is time for the final Grand Prix of the season. We have a 50-point lead over second place Steinman, and we are looking to at least maintain that lead. So we're looking for a clean race, simple, no mistakes, nothing crazy. So we'll start off, let's take a look at our knowledge bonuses. Same 2 as normal for Laura. We get a refueling bonus and a mistake chance decrease for that. So she should be lightning fast in the pits. And then our usual performance bonuses for race trim and tires for Chiaki. Okay, so the way it usually ends up is Shiaki is a little bit faster on the racetrack. Laura is a little bit faster in the pits. Overall, they're both pretty close as far as driver skill goes. If we take a look at the two of them, they're both pretty close. Now, Laura isn't quite as good at braking, which is noticeable, but adaptability and feedback, not really an issue for her. So maybe a little bit less for Laura, but they're very close to being equal drivers. Now, we'll take a look at the setup. Now, in this case, I had mentioned while we were away from the track in the first part of the video that 15 laps makes it very hard to do a two-stop strategy, and that bore itself to be true. We're at 98% on the setup, so everything is great there. But if we look at our tires, 8 to 10 laps. Now, normally I would say I can expect to get about 7 laps out of that. Well, in order to make 15 laps, I need to go 8 and 7 laps on the stint. So I'm thinking we can do this and get 8 and 7 laps there. So it's really no point in me trying to put an extra pit stop there just for the point of doing it. Now, one thing I could do is go super softs one stint and then the softs one stint to try to push harder with the softs and maybe get an extra lap or two out of those, meaning I only have to get fewer laps out of the super softs. But in general, I'm not going to mess with that. We're going to see how many laps I'm able to get out of the super softs on the first stint. I think I will be able to get what we need. However, if that turns out not to be true, I'll simply put on the soft tires in the second stint and we'll get whatever we can get. I'm going to start out this first stint expecting to get 7 laps because I'm going to use 8 laps worth of fuel. And that means that we're going to be using nine laps worth of fuel or 8 laps on the track. So that's how we're going to spread them out for pit stop purposes. If we look at the percentages here on the setup, not quite as good at 95%, but we're splitting hairs at this point. I was making small changes, didn't quite get the increase I was looking for, but it's not that big a deal. Same tire and the fuel we've already talked about. So let's go ahead and move forward to the strategy. Now you notice here, I've gone conserve to the beginning of the race for Shiaki. Again, that's because I think we're going to be extremely close on these tires. So what I'm trying to do is for the first half to 3/4 of a lap, I'm going to try to conserve what I can, maybe a few percentage points here and there, and maybe I can get 7 good laps out of these tires and not have to use the soft tires on our one pit stop. With that in mind, let's see. Let's go ahead and get this race started. All right, so tire wear is the thought of the day as we get this thing going. And of course, we'll be hoping that we can do 2 stints on the super softs. All right, here we go. We are underway. We start 19th and 20th, as you might imagine. Turn 1 means everybody stop before you get there. And okay, no mistakes. We're looking for no wrecks, no contact, no mistakes in pit road, none of that stuff. Just a nice clean race for both cars should be what we need. All right, now we got drivers talking about, I need my teammate to get out of the way. We're not getting there. We're not going there at all. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and as we get to the second thing. All right, so we lost about 8 percentage points on the tire. That's good for running 8 laps on this stint. But again, we don't need to be any more aggressive than that. We've got guys on medium tires back here in the back. You can see we should be faster than them unless they are pushing really hard, in which case it sort of nullifies the difference in speed for the most part. Right now we're up to 13th and 16th, so we're making some progress. We're not quite going as far forward as we might expect if we were being very aggressive, but I'm pretty happy right now with this. Again, we don't need to finish first and second in the race as much as I would prefer to do it that way. All right, looks like we sort of stalled out here at 13th and 16th a little bit. And part of that is because we're running into cars with the same tires as we have. So it makes it a little bit harder for us to pass them without pushing. So up to 12th and 15th now. And okay, we got a crash, but the yellow flag is only local. So there will be no virtual safety car for that. All right, 11th and 13th. Again, doing quite nicely. Tires are looking good as we get ready to complete lap number 4. We're now on lap number 5. Again, percentages looking good on the tires. We're staying with Chiaki not only because she's ahead right now between the two drivers, but also because she's going to be the first to pit. And hopefully this will be my reminder not to let her go too far and run out of fuel. Okay, looks like we got some fall off for some of these guys because we are passing some cars now. We're up to 7th position with Chiaki, 11th now for Laura. But of course, Becker, who is now showing in 8th, is sticking right with us. Now where did he go? He is in 7th. Nope, he's actually moved back a little bit. But of course, that's our competition. And we know they're going to the front, so we need to stay right with them and preferably ahead of them. Okay, now here we go. We are on lap 7. If we look at the tire wear, 42 and 46, that is exactly what I'm looking for. Now we can push this final lap and see if we can't make up a little bit more positions. It also makes me feel a lot better about being able to go 8 laps on our final stint of the Super Softs. Okay, so we're in 3rd and looking great. Now we move into 2nd. And before I get too carried away and forget, we need to go ahead and set up our pit stop. So we're going to need 8 laps of fuel. And I hate that we have to put this additional 0.7 in because it's going to take 6 seconds for all that fuel, which is fine. The tires only take 3 seconds, so all right, we're going to have 8 seconds for that. I actually could have chosen the bonus that sped up the fueling if I had it. That's what I wish I had. Okay, here we go in pit lane. We'll swap over to Laura and keep an eye out over here. Let's go ahead and take that off of push because I definitely don't want to do that. Laura is now up to 3rd position. All right, we have good and good on our pit stop. That's perfectly fine. That is exactly what we needed. All right, so now we are in 2nd. Rodriguez, oddly enough, is in 1st position right now. And looks like he'll be coming into the pits as well this time. All right, so we put on our last set of Super Softs. And we only need to go 7 laps. And again, having to put a little bit more fuel in than I would prefer. We get the fast pit stop at the same risk level. 3 seconds would be wonderful. Okay, you can see 25% is what we want. 30% is what is remaining on the car. So we're just going to get 8 laps without pushing out of these tires. So right on the ragged edge of what we need. All right, let's see how we do with Chiaki coming in. And already a mistake there. Okay, no good there. That is not what we needed, but thankfully it's not the end of the world. We now run 9th and 12th. Okay, so the key here is, can we make the tires on Chiaki's car last for the remainder of the race? It's going to be extremely close, and I think we're actually going to dip a little bit below that 25 percentage point barrier. But hopefully it will be in the last corner of the 2 of the race. All right, if you look out front on the mini map in the top right hand corner of the screen, you can see the 2 cars in front are the Steinman cars. So they're doing exactly what they need to do right now to not only win the race and sweep the top 2 spots on the podium, but they're trying to win a championship here. They're trying to take it from us. The good news for us is they do have to make a pit stop here. So what they're trying to do is get out to as big a lead as they possibly can. And then, of course, they need us to have some issues. Because with where we're running right now, we got some guys with pit stops in front of us. That's going to move us up through the grid. Let's see if they come in this time by. They do for pit stops. So both cars coming in at the same time. That's odd. I would not have expected that. All right, so now we're going to come out 1st and 4th. It looks like it's how it's going to settle out. So that's very good for us. So they stacked them up in pit lane. at least for a few seconds. And right now they're running second and sixth. That is not going to help their championship aspirations. That is for sure. All right, with that in mind, we're going to conserve, because even if we get caught for first and don't finish first, we need these tires to last. So I'm going to try to conserve them for Chiaki. The win is, at this point, as much as I hate to say it, it is secondary. Because with Steinman running second and fifth, we're running first and third. Even if we finish, say, second and third, that would be plenty good enough for a championship. And that is what is on my mind right now. Okay, 2 laps remaining. Looks like we're going to have enough remaining on our tires to make it. We'll see how it goes as far as getting the race victory as well. But now you can get a chance in the action here to see exactly what it looks like when you make a mistake on pit road. Okay, here we go. And we're on the final lap. I am going to go ahead and crank this back up to normal. We're not saving anything on the last lap. We're going to go for it. And let's see, do we have enough fuel? Yes, we have enough fuel. So let's go all out. Let's see what we got. We're going to try to get this race victory. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pull this off. They got fresher tires than us, and they've been running us down, but we got a 2.3 second lead. Let's see if we can make that stick and bring home the race victory to go along with our championship. The lead is so far staying pretty solid. I like the look of this, 2.3, 2.4. So as we come into the final turn, we're going to bring home the victory. Laura comes home in third, and it is a tremendous final race of the season for us. What a way to bring home the championship. The only thing that could have possibly been better would have been to sweep the top 2 spots on the podium. But hey, you're not going to catch me complaining about it. As we get the race win for Chiaki and yet another podium for Laura. The tires lasted, the speed held up, and we were able to bring it home. So you can look, everybody at the top did a one-stop strategy. I'm sure somewhere down in here you see somebody with a 2-stopper. Yeah, there's one. But that's about it. That's all I noticed right off the top. And wow. So we get a victory in our final race of the season to bring home the championship. Let's see what the final championship margin is. The final championship margin, we win the, we just missed finishing first and second in the driver's standings by 1 point. So I hate to see that, but the final margin of victory is 60 points in the team championship standings, and I believe the next screen is the one I'm really looking forward to. Maybe not. Maybe not the next one. Maybe it's the one after that. Because, of course, I can never remember exactly which one it is, because it only shows up one time a year. Okay, so it apparently is after the screen. So, again, nothing changes here. 100% morale across the board. 100% happiness. We're basically maxed out on marketability. You know, all that stuff is looking great. Then we get our money, 2.2 million roughly. And then, so it's got to be the next screen. Nope, not the next screen. So I can't remember which screen it is. One of these screens in here in just a moment. There it is. That's the one that I want to see. So what do we get? We get the world champion in the drivers championship. We end the season with, out of 16 events, we have 5 race wins, 13 podiums for Chiaki. I would say that is a seriously talented driver. I actually wish we could show Laura up here as well, as she had a great year as well. And then, of course, the all-important team championship. And if you look closely on this screen, not only does it show you world championship and it shows you the trophy and all of that, it shows you the prize money, $61.5 million for winning the title. Now tell me you can't put that to good use. Okay, so with that in mind, I think we're just going to leave this video right here on this screen. What better screen to end on? We got the confetti coming down. The 2025 champion in Tier 1 is ZRT Motorsport. Thank you very much for joining me in this episode of our Let's Play series, and stay tuned for more Motorsport Manager.